Well, hello, 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 and welcome to Her Conversation Show. I am Her Majesty, and today I have a gift for you. I am so super excited that I'm sitting here with Sharice, who is going to tell us all the amazing things that she is doing in the community and how she is making an impact. I am so grateful that she has taken out this time and this opportunity to share her story, her journey, and how she's making impact in the community. Sharice, welcome, welcome, welcome to Her Conversation Show. Tell us a little bit about who you are.
Well, first of all, let me say thank you for inviting me, considering me, and allowing me to share this platform with you and my journey with your listeners. I want to just put a little tag at that I do have my right hand, Miss Jasmine Spencer, on with us today. She has been with me on the majority of this journey, so I wanted to allow her to share as well. But where do I begin? Wow, it has been a journey. Personally, professionally, it has been a journey. If I wanted to just start with Faith and Works, um, that starts at about 2005. My personal journey, just how it all became about, is I, Sharice White, have always loved the arts. It has been my safe space. It has been my way of expression when I could not necessarily articulate it in words. My um, beautiful, happy place was always in performance. Okay. So as a little girl, that was what I did. And that's what my father pushed me to do because he recognized that early on. So it's always been that for me. And I knew I wanted to be a performer. So as soon as I was old enough to be able to start that journey, that is what I did. And I went full speed ahead with no backup plan. My mother could attest to that. She was always talking about you need a backup plan. And my take was no, there is no backup plan because this is the plan. But
Mhm.
with that said, the caveat is we have our plans, but God knows the plan. Okay. So put a little pin right there. Okay.
And that was going to be my next point. Was there a specific moment that made you realize that this work was your calling?
So as I was doing my plan and loving every minute of it, let me say, traveling, performing, doing what I love to do, um, I received a prophetic word as I was in the midst of it. I mean, I'm on a high, right? And I received a prophetic word that something was coming and you need to be prepared for it. And of course, I received that prophetic word that well, let me say, I received it in word. I did not receive it in spirit because it was not something that was necessarily kind to what I thought I was getting ready to do. But it
Mhm.
came. It came, and it came full force. And to make the long story short, it pretty much ended my performance career. Um, I ended up having three spinal surgeries
Wow.
that incapacitated me beyond words. Partial paralysis. I code blue twice while I was in the hospital. I had
Mm.
several years of rehabilitation, just learning how to walk and all of
Mm.
that again. And needless to say, that put me in a very depressive state. Okay. So I, first of all, let me say, I thank God for the warning, right? Because he prepared me mentally. And if I had to really say, God has been preparing me since I was a little girl. And he's always prepared me for the next. And this was my major next, right? So when that happened, as a singer, dancer, of Broadway, traveling the world, living my dream, and then it came to a screeching halt, both professionally and personally, because I went through a very difficult, traumatic divorce. And
Mm.
as I was laying on my Chase Lounge in California, and I would say this was 2005, just really ready for it to be over. If I had to be 100% completely honest, I didn't know what I was going to do.
Mm.
And as I laid there, God spoke to me, Spirit spoke to me, and said I needed to forgive. I needed a spirit of forgiveness. That's where it was birthed. I had never written a play. I had always been on this side of the screen, never on this side, right? The back side. So God spoke to me and said, you need to forgive, and you need a spirit of forgiveness. You're harboring too much everything. Okay, my career had ended, my marriage was ending, I was going through something so traumatically devastating, and I was angry.
Yeah.
And God said that. And I literally picked up a pen and paper and I wrote a play called Spirit of Forgiveness in one day,
Wow.
50 pages. He was just downloading. Mind you, please, I'd never done this.
Mhm.
Never.
Mhm.
So on that day, that was the pivoting moment for me. And he made me carry that mantle for several years. Everything I did came with a spirit of forgiveness.
Wow.
Everything. So
Wow.
when I began the nonprofit, it began officially with a spirit of forgiveness. And that was my
That's
pivoting moment in my life.
that's amazing because I feel like if you're launching something out of bitterness, if you're launching something out of pain, then you are that's the foundation of what you're building. And so, if we're not building from a place of healing, if we're not building from a place of love, if we're not building from a place of compassion, then we begin to spread all of those diseases and negativity
Mm-hmm.
inside of our businesses or ministries or organizations or family or whatever we're building,
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that's phenomenal that God took you on that journey of forgiveness so that you could build a firm foundation from a healed place. I want to jump in there with Jasmine because uh, for me, Joseph, and I always talk about the second man, which was Joseph. Many people are out of place because I'm not saying it in a negative way, but I'm just saying once you know your place, you can flourish. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes people feel like, no, I should be in the first place, but really they have the anointing and the call to stand by someone who is called to the front line. So I want to jump in there with Jasmine because you have to be an absolute phenomenal person. You have to be a confident person. Your self-esteem has to be on 1,000 because you are standing with a front line warrior who is called to shake a nation and to change a community. Jasmine, tell me how this journey has been for you.
It has been very much so pleasing to see, pleasing to witness. As a backstory, Sharice White is also my godmother. And my mom, my mom used to always tell me, she said, I don't know if you came from me or from your godmother because y'all have such an aligned spirit, and we have so many things in common. And the more and more, to your point, the more and more I have been around her, the more and more I have stewarded the work with her, the more I
Mhm.
start seeing myself in her, seeing my ability, seeing my worth through God's spirit elevating through her and shining through me. So it really has been one of those things where there is true light in a space, you have no it becomes contagious. Like you just if you in a space, it's just something you just have to latch on to, and it just consumes you. And before you know it, you start taking on it, and you become a part of the journey in all ways. So to your point, I'm overjoyed to have shared this space with her, to have her trust me with her precious treasure. So it's been a blessing. It's truly been a
Awesome.
blessing.
Awesome. So currently you are running a summer camp there in Dallas. I want to step into that. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing, why you decided to do it, and some of the challenges that you have faced doing it. Because running a nonprofit is one thing for you to get the vision, to have the dream, but all of the things that come with it, the funding, trying to figure out staffing, making sure that everything meshes together, and keeping the vision on point to what you have written down and what you have seen. Tell us a little bit about this camp.
So it's actually two camps. Our first camp is called Fostering the Arts Spirit of Excellence Summer Camp, which is
Mhm.
mainly focused on the arts. Our second camp is our MPIE, the acronym's MPIE, for Motivation, Participation, Inspiration, and Education Empowerment Camp. It's a youth empowerment camp. So, how this came about was me doing what Sharice always does, which is keep putting one foot in front of the other, okay? You know, I have to say that I've always put faith over fear. Not that I haven't had the fear, okay? But I never allowed fear to usurp my faith. So what happened was I was doing a sickle cell fundraising event at one of the Dallas College's campuses, and their admin were a part of it, saw it, and inquired about our other programming. And of course, I invited them to visit our website, and they saw the this particular camp. Both camps were programs that we offered as after school programming. I had never done it as a summer camp. So when they approached me and asked for a meeting and said, "Well, we saw that you do a youth empowerment camp. We saw that you have a fostering the arts camp. I mean, sorry, program. Could that become a camp?" And of course, without hesitation, I said, "Yes, of course it can be a camp." Now, I've
Mhm.
never done that. That's a completely different beast to take a 6 week program to a
Mhm.
6 week summer camp where you literally have to formulate an entire day for 6 weeks.
Mhm.
So, yes, the fear was there, the challenges were there with everything you just mentioned as far as staffing, making
Mhm.
sure it aligned with our mission. Okay, which is creating programs and services that promote healing and cultural awareness. So, to be honest, what I did was I took the foundation of the program, Fostering the Arts youth program, and just expounded on it. So I literally took what normally would take a couple of hours a day and made it eight hours, 8 hours a day for 3 days a week for 6 weeks. Now, when I originally formulated it, it was to culminate into a production at the end of the program, right? Which is how it was in the program, and it would culminate at the end of the camp. So
Mhm.
that was the original vision that was presented. I had to pitch it to their committee.
Mhm.
Had to, of course, do some things that I'd never done before, which was go through their entire protocol of acceptance
Mhm.
for the program. So God challenged me on every level, right? But
Mhm.
I was up for the challenge. Many long nights, many long nights, 2 a.m., 3 a.m., sometimes sunrise, of
Mhm.
doing what needed to be done in order to lay the foundation before I approached anyone. Because that's one thing I know Miss Spencer can attest to. Miss White does not come to you and present things until the foundation is solid. So
Mhm.
when I come, I can actually present it to you to where it makes sense on paper and literally. So once I got the foundation, I went through the protocol of acceptance. I was accepted. They accepted two of my camps last year. I pitched four this year. They accepted two this year with the addition of our special needs population. So that
Mhm.
was an added thing this year. I had to staff I had to make staffing for my special needs population. So yes, it was challenging, but I, by the grace of God, was up for the challenge and we got it done. I staffed. I last year we had more volunteers, correct, Miss Spencer, than we have this year, but that was because last year we had a longer period of getting all of our documentation in, as far as being background checked, fingerprinted, certifications, and things like that. But this year, we made it work. We were able to staff with no volunteers. We're running both camps. We'll run one camp. This camp is going to end on July 9th. And then our second camp will begin July 12th. And it's a 4-week camp. The Empire Youth Empowerment Camp is 4 weeks, and it's at a totally different campus. So it is going wonderfully. I mean, everything that is important for me as the founder is in place. And Miss Spencer can attest that is, I'm a stickler for that. I make sure that my staff understand that when you are out there, you're representing God, yourself, and Faith and Works. Okay, so we have meetings to let people know, and our staff know, even our volunteers, what is acceptable, what's not acceptable, making sure we're always putting our best foot forward and keeping ourselves aligned with our mission and our goal. Because I always tell them, you're always being watched. People are always looking. There's never a moment where you think, okay, I can do, and no, everybody, kids are watching, staff's watching, I'm watching, everybody's watching.
To that point, you are absolutely right. I'm coming through the airport in South Africa, and this guy's like, "Oh my God, your queen favor," and he gets on his knees and says, "Please pray for me." I'm like, "Wait, get up, get up, get up. We're in the airport. What are you talking about?" He's like, "I follow you all over social media. I know exactly who you are." I never, ever, ever expected that way in South Africa. So you're absolutely right. You just don't know
That's
who
right.
is watching and who's following you. So I love that. But I think what I am enjoying the most about this conversation is your journey, because you took what was a traumatic experience, a loss of marriage, a loss of mobility, a loss of a career, possibly in acting and all of the things that you thought that you would be doing. And now here comes this pivot, and God saying, "No, I have something else for you." And this is where you are now. And you have conquered all of those traumatic things with resilience and come back like, "Nope, this is where we are. I took this pivot. This is different. I've never done this before. And I might have a little fear, but I'm going to put my faith on top of that, and we're going to make it happen." And so that is what I am enjoying, that you did not allow the divorce. You did not allow the paralysis. You did not allow the relocation and all the things that some people allow to stop them from getting to the next chapter, which could be such a glorious place if you just take the risk. And so literally you are a risk taker, and
And I am.
the success of what you're doing now is because of your faith, is because you took the risk, is because you had to look yourself in the mirror and said, "These things happen to me, but I'm not going to let it paralyze me. I'm not going to let it bury me. I'm not going to allow it to make me doubt who I
Mm,
have been created to be." So
yes.
I absolutely love that. I want to talk a little bit about the challenges of finance as it pertains to nonprofit organizations. Most people see the impact that nonprofits make, but they don't always understand the financial side and how things are funded. You've been doing this for quite a while, and I know finding funding, finding sponsors, writing grants, knocking on doors. I was on a coaching call this morning. She's like, "Queen, I was up to 2:30 this morning, and I wrote 1,000 emails trying to get funding for one of my clients." And I said, "Keep knocking down the doors, because you might have to go through 1,000 no's before you get that one yes." And then she gets a call from Ford, so she got her yes. But I want to talk about that financial piece, because how have you been able to sustain yourself all of the years that you have been around? And what are some of those challenges? And how would you encourage someone else that is running a nonprofit? They're running into financial challenges. What will you say to us?
So I would say you just can never quit. Quitting can't be an option. Okay, when it's what you love to do, you continue, as you just said, your friend, you continue knocking on the doors, knocking down the doors, you continue doing everything and anything that you can to continue the vision. So my challenges, of course, when I first started, a lot of my things were self-funded. A lot of it was self-funded. Okay, so even in that, favor, I have said this. If I've said it once, I've said it 1,000 times. We, first of all, faith and works, just the name itself, faith and works, okay? It literally takes both. As believers, we cannot just get stuck on faith and not put in the work. So, as I mentioned earlier, there were a lot of long nights, and I did everything. And I'm not saying that to sound pompous or bodacious. I literally wrote every letter. When I did Spirit of Forgiveness, I wrote it, directed it, produced it, cast it, wrote 9 songs in it.
Mm.
When I went to the Black Academy of Arts and Letters, T-Ball, when God said, I want you to go into the big room, that means the Naomi Bruton big room. And I walked in and the lady was like, where's your crew? You're looking at it. And she was like, huh? Ma'am, do you realize that you were in, Miss Spencer, you remember? Ma'am. So I would say you never stop. Yes, it took a lot of self-funding. But once God just was downloading, and I know a lot of people say, oh, that sounds cliche or what. It's so 100% true for me. He downloaded what I didn't know. I researched. I got online. I Googled how to write proposals, how to write an effective sponsorship letter, how to put together a sponsorship deck. I had to learn everything that was needed because in the beginning, there was no funding. I was the funding.
Yes.
So I started there, and then God just started as I progressed and the years went on. 18 years, to be a little over 18 years I've been at this. So then, with creating relationships, meeting people, having conversations, getting myself involved in groups, not being uncomfortable, being around people that were smarter and had more than me. I became part of this particular group called the Dallas 40, where these people were successful business owners, CEOs, all these people. And I sat in there, little Sharice, and I just listened and absorbed as a sponge and created relationships. You have to create relationships, vitally important, okay? And you cannot, what do I say in class, Ms. Spencer? You have to be comfortable being uncomfortable.
Yes.
And that is what I had to do, and sit and listen and not be ashamed of where I was. I had to be okay with telling my story, okay, and being completely 100% honest, and because that in itself inspired people. The lady who was over the Susan B. Komen Foundation, over the funding for it, she just knew I'd had federal grant funding. And I said, ma'am, I have never had, and to this day, 18 years, to this very day, I have never had any federal or state grant funding. It has all been through favor, in kind, corporate sponsorships, just sending out emails and letters, and people seeing what Faith and Works has been doing, and it just coming from here, little bits. And don't despise the little bits.
Yes.
They add up.
They do.
Be okay with that. Be okay with a $200, check from whatever company, Be
Mhm.
okay with the 50. Be okay with in kind. We will allow you to use our building. That is how Faith and Works has sustained itself over the years. Is a lot of footwork, a lot of knocking on doors, emails, being fanatical about being who you say you are at all times, because you only get one time to make a first impression. So when you're out there, it's very important, and Miss Spencer can attest to this as well. If Faith and Works promises we're going to do X, Y, and Z, Faith and Works is going to do X, Y, and Z. Now, my thing is to under promise and over deliver, but not to the point to where it diminishes your quality or expertise, right? So when
Mhm.
I am approached by people, I'm honest with what we can do, right? And I keep it right here, and then I over deliver. And that's what have kept people coming back. So as we have grown as an organization, yes, we now have, well, we've had a website for a while, but a little bit better website. It's not the best website, but we do
Mhm.
have a website. Okay. We do
Absolutely.
have a lot of relationships with people. And so with Dallas College, them seeing the program, the funding for the programs, I knocked on doors. I went into superintendents' offices. So my Spirit of Excellence Arts program was an after-school program for DeSoto ISD.
Mhm.
We did that for 3 separate campuses.
Mhm.
Also, Lucky Longhorns, which was a summer program, they had an entire camp in the city of Cedar Hill. They needed art programming. I wrote the contract. I presented it. They hired me.
Mhm.
Okay. And so, with that and that foundation, just over the years, all the different things that we've done, whether it was the Spirit of Forgiveness production, the play, all of us play, a sickle cell fundraising event, everything has to be aligned with, first of all, our mission of using the arts to promote healing and cultural awareness, youth and community focused, okay, impacting our youth and our communities, giving them an outlet of expression of positivity versus negativity, helping parents even at times identify some of those challenges that as parents, when we're so busy running around, we don't see what we as youth programmers that are with your kids see. So all of that just has been, it has to all mesh, it has to all be cohesive, and by the grace of God it has been. The funding now, Dallas College contracting us with 2 of these major summer camps,
Mhm.
and it's just going to grow each and every year. I'm believing God for four, minimum of 4 camps next year, as well
And
as
you will have it.
during school year programming.
Awesome. I want to piggyback on what you said about funding because I'm often telling people in my community, as it pertains to funding, that funding is an ecosystem. It's not a one-way street. And
Mm,
so when you touched on taking the $200 and the $50 and the in kind, it comes from multiple different ways. Let's not just look at, I'm looking at this one foundation, I need $150,000. Well, that $150,000 might come from 20 different ways. As long as you hit the goal, that is what we want. We're not looking at it one sided. We have to look at it that way. So
exactly.
I absolutely love that. Jasmine, now I want to talk to you because you have been with Sharice, with Godmom through all of this. Jasmine, I want you to speak to the person who is walking with somebody who is on the front line. What should their posture be? How should they pray for the person? Uh, what should the attitude be? Because a lot of times when you are on, I know with my staff, I will always say to them, listen, please do not wear your feelings on your sleeve. We are all running this train together, but you have to understand that I am the pilot. And so, if I am the pilot, I am responsible to make sure that we reach our destination. I have to make sure that this plane has gas. I have to make sure that the oxygen masks are working. I have to make sure that the mechanics have checked everything before we take off. I have to make sure that I am alert and I am capable of running this flight, because if anything happens, I'm the person that they're going to come to because I'm responsible. So, for somebody, Jasmine, that is walking with a pilot, that is walking with a frontline woman, that's walking with a woman king, what do you have to say to them? Jasmine, you're muted.
Okay, sorry about that. So the first thing I would say is to listen. To your very point, you have to listen. Listen to the things they're saying and listen to the things they are not saying. So when the things that are not saying, you're also able to fill in those gaps appropriately, right? There are some things that in conversation I hear Miss White saying, I'm like, you know what, I can help here, or I can get somebody to help in these areas. So being a great listener, and being somebody who is advocating even behind the scenes. So when she's not around, your presence is always needed. As she mentioned before, the representation should always be there. Being fluid with a person of her nature is utmost important, right? You can't get you can't get stuck in the idea of, well, you said it this way. Well, I thought we were going this way. Now we got to pivot. Now we got to turn this thing. So having that creativity and that innovation and that the fluidity to be able to do different things is very, very important. And on the spiritual aspect, you mentioned this before. You have to know who you are when you're walking with somebody that has such a great gift. You can't be intimidated. You can't even diminish who you are. You show up with the God gift ability that you have, and align that thing, and you guys go together, right? And even in the space of where you're going, even if they have to go a few more steps and they tell you to hold back, you hold back. And when it's your time to flourish and when it's time for you to speak, then you do your thing. So you have to know who you are in God to be able to walk in a journey like this. And you also have to know that what is being, when you're invited into a space like this, take hold of that, because you never know what that's going to do for you, the company, the organization, even for the person that you're representing. So just always stay ready. There's a street thing, you stay ready before you have to get ready. So that is something that you always have to remember, and stay prayerful, always praying, always rooting yourself. She mentioned it's good to have the works. I mean, it's good to have the faith, and you also have to have the works. But that faith thing, man, it has to be solid. So when it's time to do the work, you got something to do the work with, right?
Mhm,
So
mhm.
it was because of my relationship with God that has allowed me to walk this walk with her, and to still do it with pride, to still have the joy and the passion behind it, even in its transitions, even with its challenges, even with all the things that's coming with the creativity and innovation that comes with it. So I would definitely say listen first, listen to the things they're not saying, and be able to be fluid and remain solid in your faith.
I love that. I want to end this conversation, Sharice, with this question, and to speak to someone who is having this challenge. Have you ever wanted to give up?
Wow. Yes. Yes. Have I wanted to give up? Have I felt like giving up? 100% yes. But you know what? If I had to say, when I was a little girl, I had a little, well, it was a major issue in my life. And my father, I was in a corner, boo-hoo, balled up, crying, just having a complete meltdown. And my father stood there, and he allowed me the moment to cry and sob, and then he looked at me and he said, "And now what? What are you going to do? Are you going to allow this to be the end of you or the beginning of you?" And that has carried me through my life. Ooh, I don't want to cry, because that has been my strength every time I've wanted to give up. Every time it looked like the enemy had won,
Mm.
I hear my Father say, and now what? And I refuse. It's not even an option
Mm.
to give anybody the satisfaction of thinking they have the power to dictate what the next is for Sharice. The only person who has that power is my God. So until he says, well done, keep one foot in front of the other.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I absolutely love that. This has been an amazing conversation. And again, I thank you so much for taking the time out of your very busy schedule to come to Her Conversation show. I hope you viewers have taken this conversation, taken down some notes. You guys know I'm a big journal person. We're going to leave a link in the description for if you are starting a nonprofit looking for funding. We have a free gift for you. All that stuff will be there. But until the next time, Sharice and Jasmine, we wish you the very best. We are so proud of you that you have taken a stance and you have gone with God, and the vision is there. It's clear. You're running with it. God has blessed it. You are a star in the community. And again, we congratulate you on everything. And we look forward to all the wonderful things that you will continue to do in the community. Thank you so much. God bless you.
Thank you so much for having us. Thank you.